So basically, I'm going to show you how to get paid to take vacations, or how to backpack around the world for free. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to travel around the world, and we're going to then sell those stories to magazines, blogs, and newspapers. So before you write anything, a lot of people think that they write an article, and then you try to sell it, but that's not how you do it, because you don't know how the article needs to be written. If you want to write an article for Travel and Leisure, you can't write the article first because you don't know if they want it in first person or third person. You don't know if they want it 500 words or 5,000 words. You don't know if they want it in a listicle format or a how-to format or a personal essay format. You don't know anything about how they want the article. You don't know if they want some interviews, if they maybe want you to interview experts. They don't know. You don't know if they want photos or videos or illustrations or art. You don't know anything about the article, therefore you can't write it. So how you get started selling articles is you come up with a list of headlines. Okay, you pitch the headlines first before you actually do any writing. So you want to make sure that you can sell the headline before you actually write anything, or in this case, go anywhere. You don't want to go to Antarctica and with the intention of writing about it and selling all these stories about it, or selling these photos and whatnot about it, because you don't know if that actually will sell. So before you go to Antarctica, it would be a better idea to come up with some headlines. Once you know that you've got a few editors that are interested in, and you negotiate the price for the actual article, then you take the trip. The reason for this is simple. You don't know how to format the article before the editor, that's who you're going to be contacting to sell your stories to. You don't know what format the article needs to be in before the editor tells you how it should be written. So that's why you pitch headlines and not articles. So many people make this mistake. They spend all of this time writing an article. They spend 3 months writing an article, 3 weeks or whatever, and then they can't sell it. Well, I have never written an article first, ever. So it's always the headline first. You even get paid sometimes before you even write it. So that's how you do it. Headlines first. I'm going to dive deeper into this. So this is an example that I got an article published in Playboy. So I pitched the secrets to finding great sex while traveling the world solo. My headline was a little different. They changed it up a little bit. But the point is that I didn't write this article until I sold it. And I sold it for $500. So they put this little spin on it. And then I spent a month working on it, 3 weeks working on it, simultaneously while I was writing other articles as well. So, and the thing is, you can be on the road writing these articles. So you don't have to be paying rent. So, you could sublet your apartment out, or sublet your house out or something like that while you're gone, so that your only expenses are going to be your travel expenses. And the hope is that all of your travel expenses will be covered based off of the stories that you are going to sell back to the public. Okay? So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to make a list of article ideas. And then you're going to narrow it down to your favorite 3 to 5 ideas or adventures. I like to always pick adventures because I don't necessarily want to go to Southeast Asia if I don't absolutely know I'll be able to monetize it in some way. So I would rather say go to Australia or whatever adventures I can. People want to live vicariously through you as a travel writer. So whatever adventures I can get the public interested in, that's actually where I want to go. That's the adventure I want to take, because I can have fun on any adventure, and I want to make sure that I can actually make the money back after I do it. So the next thing you want to do is, for each individual headline, you want to create about 3 bullet points that's going to outline what the article will contain. So you can't just come out at an editor and say, I want to write a story about, tasty foods in Cambodia. It's like, well, that's pretty vague. What is the actual article going to be about? So you have those bullet points, which is basically the beginning, the middle, and the end. So I'm going to get more into that, but that's the next step you want to do. And after that, you're going to make a media list of editors that cover that topic. So, and these editors are not necessarily travel editors. And the publications are not necessarily travel publications, as proven by the previous Playboy example. So there are travel editors that work at Elle or GQ or Esquire or all over, and those aren't necessarily travel magazines, or they're not travel magazines at all. But they always have most places have a travel section, and they have travel. Where there is a travel section, there's a travel editor, and that's the person that you're going to be pitching your travel stories to, or your headlines to. And then there are, of course, magazines dedicated to travel. National Geographic, Travel and Leisure, Traveler, Lonely Planet, and stuff like that. So you've got those. You've got actually a lot of people that you can pitch. So for one article idea, this is how you're going to do it. In the subject line, this is how you get started. The first thing you want to do, right? You come up with your headline ideas, okay, and then just know what you're going to write about in those articles, right? So like for each headline, you need to know exactly what the actual piece will be about, and that's where the bullet points are. Once you have those, so you have about 5 things that are brainstormed that you want to go with, you're going to, in the subject line, you're going to write either OpEd inquiry, which stands for opinion editorial, or you could write guest post inquiry, or you could write article idea. So you just want to basically tell the editor, hey, I'm about to pitch you a headline. So after that, you're going to put the potential headline for your article. So an example would be OpEd inquiry, how I nearly died in the most deadly jungle in the world. Or example, guest post, best hang gliding tours in South America and special discounted rates, right? So like you may go to, like I went paragliding in Medellin, and I didn't do this, but I thought about this later. I could have easily just asked the tour guides that were doing the paragliding tours if I could get maybe like a special discount for anybody that like a referral, like some sort of a commission. And then I could have actually put that in the magazine, and the magazine art that like the editors would be, you're much more likely to get it published, because then not only are you offering an adventure and a story that you can sell to the magazine, but you're also giving their readers a discounted rate for some of these tours. And you can use that for any sort of tour. So from wine tasting tours to hang gliding tours, horseback riding tours, paragliding tours, hiking tours, trekking tours, anything like that. I mean, you can just negotiate. I mean, they're like, when you're traveling the world, every single tour it's the most competitive industry in the world. It's like everybody's got a travel agency, everybody's got a tour. So you can actually include some of those special rates as some of your in one of your bullet points. Now, in another example, you could write article idea, how the natives of Peru grow potatoes and what urban gardeners can learn from their techniques. In general, you want to kind of present the story and then offer some way that this story will help the reader. So that's just the basic, that's the best way to pitch something. So you want to come up with a really cool adventure and then how it will help the person that's going to be reading it. That's how you want to pitch a headline idea. Now, in the body of the email, you're going to add your query, which is basically your cover letter. And this is what will be in the body of the email. So you've roped the editor in with the headline in the subject title, and then they open the email and they'll see something along these lines. So it'll be your headline followed by the 3 bullet points. So to go with the example previously, subject title, we have article idea, how I nearly died in the most deadly jungle in the world. And then what you're going to want to do is basically start out by introducing yourself. So, hey, Evan, I don't believe we've corresponded before. I'm a world record holder for longest journey by car in one country and tend to submit pitches about how to effectively take road trips. However, I've got an interesting idea to run by you. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm introducing myself. I'm stating a brief credential that I have, which I'm the Guinness World Record holder for longest road trip by car in one country. And so I throw that in there, but you can put anything in there, and you actually, you want to give yourself, there is something about you that you can brag about, and that's the place to do it. Just in a quick sentence, like, I don't know if we've met before. This is who I am, and I've got an idea for you. And that's where you're going to restate the headline, How I Nearly Died in the Most Deadly Jungle in the World. And then you're going to put the 3 bullet points. So these are very basic. This is just an example. I don't know if I would actually use these, but it could be where it is. Here I will talk about some of the most dangerous jungles in the world, what makes them dangerous, and what makes the particular jungle I went to the most dangerous in the world. Why I went there will be the second bullet point. Here I will talk about the deeper meaning on why taking deadly trips to deadly jungles is actually a great idea, which I don't know if that's actually true. I've never gone to a deadly jungle, by the way. And then the third bullet point is what I learned. Here I will go over all the takeaways I came back with after my trip. So you want to actually, and then to finish this up, at the bottom line is you're going to state your credentials and add some urgency. So I wrote, below I've included some examples of my writing and other press credentials. Let me know what you think. I'll keep posted. So you want to kind of just tell them to get back to you as quick as possible. And then below that, I would attach some of the other articles I had written. If I didn't have any articles published, I would have included some blog posts that I had written, which anybody can start out doing. And then any press credentials that I have, which I have a lot, but if you don't have any, you can add any sort of credential from school, degrees or certificates or anything that you've done. Won a spelling bee competition. It doesn't really matter. You just kind of want to add some credentials of who you are. What's really going to sell the editor is the headline and then the article. If you know how to write a proper pitch, they're going to believe that you know how to write a proper article. So here you'll notice on the third bullet point that I said what I came back with after my I'm acting as if I already took this trip. So you don't want to get caught doing this, because when people call your bluff and say, "Wait, did you actually take this trip?" I always say, "Yeah, I'm in the process of taking it." So you have to really be careful about this. Like, you can't just send one editor. You can't send the editor like, "How I went to the most dangerous jungle this week," and then they say no, and so you pitch them another article that says, my weekend in Scandinavia, because it's like they're gonna know that you're just like pitching things that you haven't actually done. So you want to put some time and some care into this. And if it were me, I would come up with a few adventures that I actually wanted to take, and I would kind of scatter them out. I would probably put about 5 different ideas, and I would try to sell at least one article before I went. And whichever article I sold, that's the adventure I would actually go and take. And if worst case scenario came and nobody showed any interest in any of them, I would go with the one that I was most interested in anyway. And when I got to the actual destination, I would come up with different ideas and continue pitching other article ideas to be sold. You'll never go on a vacation and not be able to sell some sort of article about it. If you go into it with you have to be aware that the only reason someone's going to read your travel article is because you're doing something that they can't do. So you're going to have a hard time selling a trip to the Bahamas. So you have to make sure that these adventures are actually interesting. So that is kind of where the creativity comes in, but that's how you do it. So let's move on. I pitch all of these out before I book any trips at all. And whatever adventure sells, that's the adventure I take. And like I said, careful not to blow your cover. So I don't want to give anybody bad advice. This is a risky way to do it, but for the most part, people are not keeping track with your headline pitches. If you're sending a headline every single day that says that you're somewhere else, or kind of like just with new adventure ideas, people are gonna obviously know that you're not going on these adventures. However, if you put some time and effort into sending out one pitch with about 5 different ideas that are very carefully curated, and you're sending them to the right people, you should get some interest. And at that point, I'll talk to you about how to negotiate your fees. And also, that's just the beginning step. Once you actually get to wherever you're at, then you start to look for tours or at other adventures or things that you can do that you could then go back and educate the people about. So it's not just that beginning article, but that is where you want to start out. That's where I start out. But again, careful not to tell people. I mean, don't like straight up lie. Like, don't, when I was, writing articles about my road trip, I was pitching it out saying that I'm breaking the world record road trip. Not I broke, I'm breaking. So I'm still like, I'm not, anybody can attempt to break a world record. So it's, I wasn't lying, but you have to figure out a way to make sure that, like, if you're saying like, on my way to the jungle, would love to write about my experience and submit it to you afterwards. Something like that. Look, basically what I'm trying to tell you is use your own judgment as to what to do, but just know the best adventure headline will sell the best, and you gain more credibility the more you've done. So I'll leave you with that. Another way to do it is to submit more than one idea in the subject title. So, and this is what I generally do. I write, say, like 2 article ideas about travel and sex, or 5 article pitches about Nordic adventures, or something along those lines. So if you want to travel to, say, the Nordic region, you can write like, 5 article ideas about Nordic adventures. And then, like, you're going to the Nordic region, like, no matter what headline gets picked up. So to use an example, subject title, example number 2. So 2 article ideas about travel and sex. Hey Shane, I don't believe we've corresponded before. I'm a world record holder for longest journey by car in one country and tend to submit pitches about how to effectively take road trips. I've got a couple ideas to run by you. 1. Road sex. How to enjoy hassle-free sex in the car. The bullet point number 1 is I'm going to go over places to park, and then I'm going to go over positions to use, and then the legalities of it all. Second idea. Secrets to finding great sex while traveling the world solo. So the benefits of traveling alone, how to set yourself up for success, and the secret method that always works. Below, I've included some examples of my writing and other press credentials. Please let me know what you think, and I'll keep posted. And I actually sold I sold both of these, so don't use them because they're already published. One of them is in Elle, and the other one is in Playboy. After you come up with your pitch, so you'll have your headline, and then you'll also have your query pre-written. Now you're going to build your media list of travel editors, and they may not even be travel editors. Like if it's like, foods of the Nordic region, you're actually going to be contacting food editors. So you have to really know what your headlines are before you know which editors you're going to be contacting. But editors are the people that are going to give you the job. Those are the people that you will be contacting. So there's a couple ways that you can find the information, how to find out their contact information. So you can use PR software, which is, in PR software it's expensive, about $3,000 to $5,000 per year. But it has it has everybody's contact information in it. So anybody you want to contact, you can just type in travel editors in the UK, and it'll bring up a list of all of their contact information, where they work. Some editors work at multiple magazines. So it's totally worth it. If you plan on building a career as a writer, or making, say, travel writing a part-time job, you should invest in PR software, or maybe get someone to throw it down with you. I split my PR software with somebody, so it's really only $1,500, which is still a lot, but you make that back pretty quickly, and then it's all profit. So, or you can data mine on the internet, and a good way to do that is to just go to Twitter and type in editors, and it'll come up, like type in travel editor, and it'll just come up, because editors and journalists and writers love Twitter. And they're all on Twitter. And it's a good place to find out their actual email. And that's where you kind of connect with them and ask if it's okay if you submit pitches. I recommend introducing yourself first, maybe, and asking them if it's okay, getting their permission to submit pitches to them, because you don't want to spam people. So those are the 2 ways that you can get their contact information. One other way is you can go to the masthead of the magazine or the newspaper, which basically is a list of all of the people that work at that magazine or a newspaper, and it'll sometimes give you like on the online mastheads, it'll let you click through to their like personal page, and it'll have their it'll it'll at least give you their name, sometimes their email address. But if you can just put together a list of names, then you can just start Googling them and finding their email addresses on their blogs, on their most editors have a blog, or journalists have a blog, or finding them just wherever they may be on the internet. So it does take a little bit of time, but you put together this media list and then you've got it. And these are the people that you're going to be contacting about all of your different ideas. So when submitting for print publications, you're going to want to check the editorial calendar. So the editorial calendar will generally have the upcoming themes. Well, will always have the upcoming themes of the monthly publications, as well as the deadline for submissions for each month's issue. So for print, you need to, so every magazine has a different theme already kind of like laid out for the year. And you'll want to know, like, okay, so if it's, say, December, then you're going to be wanting to, say, maybe submit for the March issue, right? So maybe the deadline for the March issue is maybe the beginning of February or something like that. So you want to see exactly what themes they are. And the way you do that is you can just simply find the editorial count. Like usually if you go to, say, if you want to write something for National Geographic or for, say, Vogue or something, whatever. Vogue is a bad one because that's fashion. Travel and Leisure. You can just go to their advertising media kit, and it'll also show the editorial calendar, because they have the editorial calendar for advertisers so that advertisers can know which issue might be the best issue for them to advertise in. So if this issue is going to be about budget backpacking, it's probably not the best time to get luxury advertisers on board. So, but that's also a great place for the writers, you, to find out what each issue will be about, so that you can pitch ideas that will fall nicely within that issue. So that's the way to pitch print publications. And also it'll say when the deadline is. So for online publications, it makes no difference. So when you submit, it doesn't make a difference when you submit or what topic you submit, as long as it's relative to the site that you're submitting to. It'll go up as soon as they want to put it up. But with print, it needs to be in by a certain date. So you just want to make sure that you're pitching ideas that have to do with the print, with the editorial calendar, and you want to make sure you're pitching them in advance so that the editor has the proper amount of time to make a decision. And once an editor has said yes, then and only then do you actually write the piece and sometimes actually take the adventure. So if there's no demand for it, for your ideas, then you can do a couple things. You can go on the adventure and come up with other headlines and pitch those out. And eventually you'll get one. So even if you don't make back all of the money that it costs to go on this trip, you should be able to make back at least some of it. Okay? But I like to go for all of it. So, but yeah, if there's no demand, you can do that, right? You go and just continue pitching new ideas, find different adventures in the region you're going to, different angles to write about, food, lodging, tours, adventures, romantic ideas, things to do with your buddies, things to do with your friends, good restaurants, whatever. There's endless topics to write about. Just think, what would this audience need to know? Like, how can I help the readers of this publication? That's really the one question you really need to ask. Or you can then just start, maybe sit on it for a little bit and pitch another bunch of ideas until someone says yes, and then pack your bags. Right? So a lot of the times for me, I won't take the adventure until I know that there's some sort of interest. Like when you get interest, you get interest. And if you send out a pitch to 100 editors and 99 of them say no, but one of them says yes, then that's all you need, right? Because that might be like, say, a $500 article or something like that. And then all of a sudden, like, your round trip ticket's paid for, or depending on where you're going, your one-way flight is paid for, or whatever. So you see, like, you're paying as you go, right? So I mean, this is how to do it. It's a little bit of like, you got to balance these deals out, but this is how you travel the world for free, give or take. It's not actually for free because you're paying it, but you're paying for it, but you're making your money back. So the way I like to look at it is you're getting paid to go on vacation. You just have to make sure you're taking an interesting enough vacation for them to pay you for. But so you get the general drift of what I'm going here. Keep pitching stuff out until you get a yes, then write the article or then book your trip. So when they say yes, first thing you want to do is, great, ask them what the word count that they prefer is, right? You want to know if it's going to be 250 words, 400 words, 750 words, 1200 words, 2000 words. You want to know how many words they want, because that will dictate what type of article you're going to write. You want to know how it should be written. Is it going to be first person, second person, third person? You also want to know. You also want to ask the format. So, are they going to want it in a listicle format, a how-to format? Do they want like an essay? Do they want an opinion editorial? Should you include photos? No photos. Are they going to come up with their own photos? How important are photos? Do they pay for the photos? Videos, artwork, anything. And then the last thing is that sometimes you can increase the value of your article. Well, you can generally always increase the value of your article by adding interviews with experts. So like I could say, not only am I going to write this article, but then I'm also going to interview a sex psychologist, or I don't even know, is that a thing? Sex psychologist? I don't know. The point is that like you can, if it's about restaurants or something like that, I'm also going to be interviewing the top chef in Lima, Peru, to go along with the article. So you can increase the actual value of the article by doing that. And it's quite easy to get those interviews. You just go somewhere and ask if it's okay if you ask them a few questions, right? And if you ever wanted to, say, interview a celebrity or someone famous or something like that, you just send them an email and say, is it cool if I come in and ask you a few questions because I'm working on an article for this magazine about this? And generally, they'll say yes, but if they say no, that's okay. You can just reach out to somebody else or write it without the interview. So when you're negotiating, this is the hard part that a lot of writers struggle with. So many writers write for free. I would recommend not writing for free because you're gonna have a hard time paying for vacation if you are writing for free. However, I will say that you can sometimes negotiate deals with restaurants and hostels or hotels if you tell them that you're working on a piece about their airline or hotel or whatever. So you can kind of bring the people or the tour guides or stuff like that. You can bring them on as maybe sponsors and you can kind of negotiate maybe and get like I don't know, one night's free stay or something like that. That's like the worst case scenario if you're not getting paid. Okay, you're getting paid from two different places. Okay, you're getting paid from the editor, and you're also getting paid for the things that you're writing about because you're doing kind of publicity work for them. So, and it's not like they came to you and said, hey, will you do publicity work for me? So you have to approach them in a way that it's like, hey, I'm looking to feature a set amount of restaurants in Macon, Georgia. And, I need to make sure that I can afford to eat this week. I'm more than happy to include your restaurant in the article because I'm just covering the culture of Macon, Georgia. It's a city in Georgia in the United States for all international listeners or viewers. And so maybe that's a bad example, right? Like you could also say something along the lines of, hey, like I'm interviewing, or I'm featuring the best boutique hotels in, Western Europe. These are the accommodations I'll need if you're interested in being a part of it. So you could say something like that. That's actually a really good way to put it. I would do that. Okay. So putting that aside, the first thing that you want to say after they say yes is say, what is your starting fee for contributing writers? So not just like, so great, super excited, can't wait. What is generally your starting fee for contributing writers? Okay, now they're going to say a number, and then you're going to ask for $100 more. Okay, or you can go to whopayswriters.com, which is a website that shows it's like a anonymous place where writers can go and say how much they got paid for writing for a particular media outlet. So you can go there and see what the general rate is for the writers. But also bear in mind that print articles always get paid more, and make sure that the site is up to date. There may be some other sites like this out there right now. At the time of this recording, like this is the one that I use. And because you don't want to call an editor an asshole for lowballing you if the because of what they paid Susie in 1983. If like the post on whopayswriters.com is just really outdated, well, it's just maybe because they're paying either less or more, or and things change. So just make sure it's up to date. But generally, if you're writing for like a mid-tier magazine, they'll say like, "Are you okay with $250?" And you say, "Can we make it $350?" Or if they say like, is $500 reasonable? Say, "Yeah, sure." Or if they say, we pay writers $100 per article, say, "Great. I've no problem for that, with that. Is it okay if we just maybe bump that? Is it okay if I submit 3 different articles then? Because I need to make sure that I'm getting paid more than just $100." So you can do like little things like that. Here's the reality. This is what you can expect to make. But small publications, $0 to $50. Like like if you are trying to build your resume and you're trying to maybe barter with hotels, or if you're trying to barter, instead of get paid, you can do that with small publications. Anyway, look, with small publications, you're getting paid roughly around $0 to $50. $50 usually. Don't write for free. That's what I would say. Mid-sized publications, you're getting paid $250 or under. Bigger online publications like like Teen Vogue or Elle or anyone with the Meredith Corporation or Hearst Corporation and stuff like that, it's like $300 to $500 they're going to offer you or something like that. And then the big print publications and even the mid-tier print publications will pay anywhere from 25 cents to $2 per word. So you can make a lot of money doing that. There's one magazine I write for that I get paid on average $1,000 per article. Making $1,000 before you even take the trip is a pretty awesome way to start off your vacation. So, but the only reason they're willing to pay that amount is because I'm about to do something that nobody else is doing and they want to find out more about it. So that's the way travel writers make money. That's the way that you go on vacation for free. So here's the reality about when you should be expect to get paid. So expect to get paid in this time period. For small online publications, right away. As soon as you submit the article, if they accept your pitch, they say yes. You submit the article. If there's no edits that need to be made, they'll cut you a check pretty much right away. You're usually going to have to fill out paperwork. Mid-sized online publications, a couple months after the link goes live. Big online publications, usually right away. Sometimes a few weeks of I wrote a few weeks of acceptance. A few weeks after acceptance is what I meant. It's usually, sometimes usually you're paid actually before the article is even published, because as soon as you are given the okay, they send you your W-9 or whatever the hell they send you. I'm messing up my tax forms, but they send you the independent contractor form. You fill it out right away, and then on their next pay cycle, you get paid, even if it's before the article has been published. That's usually what happens. So, and then for big print publications, just forget about them. Like, just put it in your accounts receivable. It'll be there usually in like three or so months. Like, it'll come after it's been published. So it's kind of but you get paid much more. So you may have, you could lay it out on your credit card and just know that you're going to get that money in like about 3 months. So you'll just pay that amount back. So anyway, that's the reality of how you're going to get paid. So what if they say no money? Because this happens all the time. Ask them if you can agree on for a price on spec. So that means that you only get paid if they publish the piece. So it basically gives them an extra out if they don't like your work. So they may still say no, but it's like another way to do it, especially if it's a big publication and they're saying like, we've never worked with you before, so therefore we're not gonna pay you on this first time around. You say, well, is it okay if I write it on spec at this amount? So if you publish the piece, you pay me $300, $400, $500, something like that. If they say no, and if you're building your portfolio, I would write the piece anyway, because you're only going to have to do this a few times. Once people see that you've been published in big places, they're going to know that they can't lowball you and they can't ask you to write for free. So I would only do this if you're building your portfolio. If you're not building your portfolio, I mean, you always want a bigger portfolio, but if you don't need to build your portfolio, I would just move on to another pitch. Because writing an article can take some time. I wouldn't waste time writing an article that I'm not getting paid for. So when you do get published, You want to make sure that you ask for a byline that links to your blog or your website. You can see here that article I was telling you about, how to have sex in a car. That's the headline they ended up giving it. You can see where my byline is. That's a byline. If you click on that, it brings you to, I think, my author page on L, or it brings you to my website, or it brings you somewhere. I actually can't even remember, but you can usually ask them where you want it to bring you. So that's a great place to gain a tremendous amount of SEO, because the more search engine optimization, the more big authoritative sites that are linking to your website, your blog, or your social media, if you prefer, the more you'll show, the more Googleable your name will become. So this is really, really important. And also, if you're promoting something like a book, or if you want people to check out your writing website or your Instagram or whatever the hell it is, this is where you would put it. So then, after all this is done, you want to immediately craft a new pitch to keep the money coming in. So I want to recap here. The first thing that you do is you brainstorm headlines, okay? And adventures. Where do you want to go? What would you like to write about? What would you like to do? Then you're going to craft your query with bullet points for each headline idea. And remember to check the editorial calendar if you're pitching print publications to make sure that the theme matches up with the issue and the submission deadlines are on point. Then you're going to build a media list of the editors that would be interested in your headline ideas. You're going to always want to pitch the travel editor, and then you're going to also want to pitch any other topics you're writing about. You're going to want to pitch that editor as well. So if there's like some food angles in it, you want to pitch the food editor. If it's like a lifestyle piece, the lifestyle editor. If it's something about women, maybe the women's interest editor. If it's something about society, like what's going on with the refugees and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. Like I'm just making stuff up right now, but you'll want to contact then the society editor as well. So there's a few editors that you can contact for each headline idea. And then after you make your pitches and you get accepted, you're going to ask for the style of the article and the word count. After you get that, you're going to negotiate the fee, and you're going to fill out the paperwork. As soon as they accept as soon as you agree on a fee, they're going to send you the paperwork pretty quickly, because they're going to want to make sure they keep everything organized, because they're going to need to be able to send you paperwork at the end of the year for taxes. Then you're going to submit your first draft to the editor, and you're going to wait for edits. They usually come back and say, yeah, I need you to fix this or that. Then you're going to submit your final draft with photos, videos, art, illustrations, anything that they've asked for. And again, just a reminder that interviewing experts increases the value of the article. So if you wanted to say, somebody came to you and said, we'll give you $100 for this article, and say, I was planning on interviewing these few people, it's going to be a lot of work. Can we bump that up to maybe 200? And you can do the same thing if it's 500. Like, can we bump this up to 750 because I'm going to be doing all this work for the interview? So it's at least worth asking. No one is going to say, I cannot believe you asked for more money. Forget the whole deal. You're done. No one's going to say that. So they may just say no, take it or leave it, and then take it. Okay. So that's it. I mean, that is pretty much how you travel the world and get paid to tell stories about your adventures. I hope you found this useful, and I look forward to reading some of your adventures in the upcoming issue of blah, blah, blah. And that's it. See you soon.